The Chicago Bears stopped looking like a rebuild the moment Caleb Williams became the reason every team in the NFC North had to change its plan. This is not the same old Chicago story where hope shows up in April and disappears by winter. This team already proved it can punch back, and now Ben Johnson has more speed, more size, and more ways to make defenses guess wrong. That is the part people are missing. The Bears did not draft like a team begging for help. They drafted like a team trying to protect something dangerous before the rest of the league catches up. Look at what changed around Caleb Williams. Logan Jones gives the offense a future answer in the middle of the line. Xavier Thomas gives Ben Johnson a speed weapon who can flip field position and stretch a defense thin. Sam Rush makes the tight end room bigger, heavier, and harder to match. Then the defense adds Dylan Thieneman, Malik Muhammad, Keyshawn Elliott, and Jordan Van Den Berg. Not as random names, but as pieces with clear jobs. Speed in the secondary, instinct at linebacker, depth inside. Chicago is not chasing noise anymore. Chicago is building matchups. But here's where the story gets interesting. Ryan Poles walked through the draft with everyone screaming for the obvious pick, and he still refused to panic. No desperate reach, no move made for applause, no fake splash to win one weekend. That tells you the Bears front office believes the roster is closer than outsiders think, and it also tells you they had a plan most people did not see in real time. The question now is simple. Did Ryan Poles ignore the biggest need, or did he protect the bigger picture? Everybody wanted Ryan Poles to chase the loud answer. Pass rush, trenches, the pick that makes fans breathe easy for one night. But the Chicago Bears did something colder than that. They looked at the board, saw the price, saw the names, and refused to force it. That matters. Bad teams draft from panic. Good teams draft from the plan. Chicago walked out with Dylan Thieneman, Logan Jones, Sam Rush, Xavier Thomas, Malik Muhammad, Keyshawn Elliott, and Jordan Van Den Berg, and every name had a job attached to it. The twist is, this was not a draft built to please the loudest part of the room. Ben Johnson needed pieces that fit his offense, not random flash. Dennis Allen needed defenders who can think fast, move fast, and change the picture before the snap. That is why the Bears took protection, speed, size, coverage, linebacker burst, and interior depth instead of reaching just to say they fixed one obvious need. It looks strange in the moment. It looks much smarter when you stop judging picks like headlines and start judging them like roles. And this is where the draft gets dangerous. Ryan Poles did not act like a general manager trying to save his job. He acted like one who believed the foundation's already strong enough to be selective. That is a different kind of confidence. Maybe fans wanted a louder move. Maybe analysts wanted a cleaner grade. But Chicago chose fit over noise, and the first real sign of that plan came at safety, where Dylan Thieneman was not just a pick, he was the first clue. The Chicago Bears did not take Dylan Thieneman because safety was the loudest need. They took him because he changes what Dennis Allen can call on Sundays. That is the real story. A fast safety is one thing. A fast safety who can tackle, cover space, drop into the slot, and close downhill is different. That kind of player does not just fill a spot, he changes the menu. This is why the pick matters more than some people want to admit. Dylan Thieneman gives Chicago movement in the back end, and Kobe Bryant gives him another steady piece beside him. Now Dennis Allen does not have to show the same picture before every snap. He can spin coverage late. He can bring pressure from places the quarterback does not expect. He can make a simple look turn ugly after the ball is snapped. That is how a defense steals hesitation, and once a quarterback hesitates, the whole play starts to crack. That is what the Bears are trying to build. Not just a defense with names, but a defense with traps. Dylan Thieneman is the first real clue. He gives Chicago more speed, more disguise, and more freedom. But the next move tells you the Bears were not only protecting the defense, they were also protecting the one player this whole plan depends on, Caleb Williams. The loud picks get the reaction, but the quiet picks decide whether a quarterback survives. That is why Logan Jones matters. The Chicago Bears did not draft him for noise. They drafted him because the middle of the offensive line had to be protected before it became a problem. Caleb Williams can have every weapon in the world, but if the pocket collapses in his face, the whole plan loses air. This move says Chicago is thinking past one season. Garrett Bradbury gives the Bears a veteran center right now, but Logan Jones gives them a future answer they can grow inside the building. That is how smart teams handle the most uncomfortable spots on the roster. They do not wait until desperation hits. They bring in the next piece early, let him learn, let him adjust, and when the time comes, the offense does not have to start over. And that is the hidden value of this pick. Ben Johnson needs timing. Caleb Williams needs clean answers. The run game needs a center who can move, think, and hold the front together. Logan Jones is not the pick that takes over the headline, but he might be the pick that keeps the whole offense steady when the season gets heavy. Then Chicago made a sharp return because after protecting the quarterback, they gave him something defenses hate chasing. The Chicago Bears did not add Xavier Thomas for decoration. They added a player who changes the feeling of a snap before the ball even moves. When a defense sees speed like that lined up wide, in the slot, or waiting deep on returns, it has to think twice. One wrong step, and the field opens. That is the kind of pressure Ben Johnson wants around Caleb Williams. Not just big names, real stress. The scary part is how many jobs Zavion Thomas can touch. He can stretch the field, he can move across the formation, he can make special teams feel dangerous again. The Bears picked him at 89, and his college path already showed his return value, beginning at Mississippi State before finishing at LSU. That matters because hidden yards can change games without showing up in the loudest box score. Now place that next to Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, Khalif Raymond, and Caleb Williams, and the picture gets uncomfortable for defenses. Somebody has to cover size, somebody has to handle quickness, somebody has to respect the deep shot. And if Zavion Thomas earns even a small role early, Ben Johnson can force teams to defend every blade of grass. But Chicago was not done adding stress. Their next offensive move made the tight end room heavier, deeper, and much harder to match. The Chicago Bears did not pick Sam Roush to sit quietly in the background. They picked him because Ben Johnson wants to make defenses feel trapped before the snap. When a team has Cole Kmet, Colston Loveland, and now Sam Roush, the defense has to ask a scary question. Is Chicago about to run straight at us? Or is Caleb Williams about to hit someone behind us? That split second of doubt is where this offense starts to win. Sam Roush brings the kind of frame that changes personnel decisions. He is not a small move tight end who only exists for passing downs. He gives Chicago size, blocking value, and another target who fits heavy formations without making the offense feel slow. The Bears took him in the third round at 69 after trading down, and that detail matters. Ryan Poles did not rush the pick. He moved, waited, and still landed a player who fits the exact style Ben Johnson loves. Big bodies, flexible looks, same formation, different answers. Now, the pressure moves inside the tight end room. Cole Kmet still has value. Colston Loveland already gives Chicago a young receiving weapon, but Sam Roush makes the room deeper, heavier, and more uncomfortable for defenses that want to stay small. This is how the Bears start controlling matchups instead of reacting to them. And while the offense kept adding layers, the next part of the draft showed something even bigger. Chicago was building a defensive blueprint on day 3 that most people missed. The Chicago Bears saved one of their clearest messages for day 3. That is when Ryan Poles stopped chasing headlines and started stacking traits. Malik Muhammad came from Texas with the kind of length and movement teams trust on the outside. He is not just another depth corner. He is a young defender who can press, turn, recover, and fight through a route without looking lost. Chicago traded up to get him, and that tells you they did not see him as a leftover. They saw a fit. Then came Keyshawn Elliott, and the tone changed again. Dennis Allen needs linebackers who attack the ball, communicate fast, and survive in space. Keyshawn Elliott brings that kind of edge. He played the middle at Arizona State, handled real responsibility, and gave Chicago another defender who can help on special teams before his bigger role arrives. That is smart roster building. You do not force every young player into the fire. You give him a job, then let the job grow. And this is why the last part matters. Jordan Van Den Berg proves the Bears did not ignore the defensive line completely. They simply waited until the right value showed up. He gives Chicago a developmental body inside, while Malik Muhammad and Keyshawn Elliott add speed and instincts behind the front. That is the hidden blueprint. Coverage, communication, depth, and pressure created from more than one spot. Now the question gets bigger, because this plan does not just change the Bears roster. It changes the pressure on the entire NFC North. The Chicago Bears are no longer the team everyone in the division gets to circle with comfort. That version is gone. Green Bay, Detroit, and Minnesota all have real talent, but Chicago now has something it has been chasing for years. A young quarterback with momentum, a head coach who knows how to create answers, and a roster that suddenly has more ways to win than people want to admit. That changes the room. This is what makes the NFC North race feel different. Caleb Williams does not have to carry the whole thing alone anymore. Ben Johnson has more tools to spread the field, attack the middle, and use heavy formations without becoming predictable. Dennis Allen has more defensive pieces who can move, disguise, and communicate. Dylan Thiemann, Logan Jones, Sam Roush, Zavion Thomas, Malik Muhammad, Keyshawn Elliott, and Jordan Van Den Berg do not all need to become stars right away. Chicago just needs the right ones to hit at the right time. And that is the uncomfortable part for the rest of the division. The Bears are not betting everything on one flashy name. They are stacking roles around a team that already believes it can win now. If Caleb Williams takes another step, if the offensive line holds, if the new speed opens up the field, and if the defense creates confusion instead of clean reads, Chicago becomes a serious problem. So now the question moves to you. How many wins do you see for the Chicago Bears this season, and which new player changes everything first?